All right, hello again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I've been starting to go through what we're going to be covering over our 5-day journey to try to create a website. All right. Now, in the last video, I started to go through what we're doing, and then I kind of totally switched directions, so to speak, and started talking about this. And it's like, fine, what is all this? Well, by coming in here and starting with nothing and putting in an exclamation point and hitting tab, we got all this. And what is this? Well, I've already explained what the doc type is. This is our beginning HTML tag, which has an ending HTML tag. You'll notice the difference between them. The ending one has just a forward slash followed by the name of the tag. This one has not only the name of the tag, but it also has what's called an attribute, a language attribute that explains that what we're doing here is English. All right, then there's our beginning head tag and our ending head tag, our beginning body tag and our ending body tag. And in here, we have 3 what are called meta tags along with our title tag that we looked at last time. Now, this first meta tag that you see right here explains the character set that we're using. And it says UTF-8, which I believe is like an 8-bit universal transformation format or something like that. But the bottom line is, if you want to know more about it, we're using what's called the Unicode character set. So we are using Unicode. I'm going to remove this and just, whoops. I'm going to remove this and what I'm typing in just a second. Now, back when I started learning this stuff, which was many, many, many years ago, we didn't have Unicode. All right, and really a lot of the work that you did with the web, with the World Wide Web, with the internet, etc., was just in the United States. So all we cared about were all the different keys on the keyboard, etc., that were American, that were done in English. So rather than Unicode, we use something that is called ASCII, which is pronounced ASCII, and it stands for American Standard Code for Information Interchange. And it had 256 different characters that represented all the characters on the keyboard, lowercase and uppercase, so that was 52 characters. All of the numbers, so that was 10 more characters. The special characters, which was about, I don't know, 15 or 20 more, and a bunch of characters you don't see on your keyboard. Now, if you want more on this, I can just come in here where it says ASCII, and I'm not going to spend much time on this. This isn't what the course is about. But I'm going to go over to Google Images, and I'm going to put in here under images.google.com ASCII and hit enter. And here, if you care about it, this right there is what's called an ASCII table. In fact, I can grab any of these. It really doesn't matter which one. There's one. All right. And this has got basically the first half of it right here. But you'll notice, for example, the number ASCII number 68 represents an uppercase D. ASCII 69 represents an uppercase E, etc. Now, like I said, I don't want to spend much time on that, but as the web grew more and more, all right, basically people realized that this web thing was going to be not a national phenomena, but an international one. So ASCII wasn't going to be enough because it didn't handle other languages. So the Unicode character set was created. And I believe Unicode originally held about 64,000 characters. But I think that if we look now, the last time I had looked, I thought it was closer to 100,000, if not more. It defines 143,859 characters. A lot bigger than 255. I think we'd all agree with that. All right. So Unicode has replaced ASCII. Not really. The first 255 characters in the Unicode character set are the old ASCII character set. All right. So we're letting it know that the character set that we're using is Unicode. Okay. Probably we could do without that tag because I think it defaults to that anyway. But remember, the only thing that a computer understands are zeros and ones, and the character set basically is the way that we're going to convert whatever we type in into the zeros and ones the computer can understand. All right, then we've got this thing, another meta tag, and meta means data about data, so we're creating data tags. All right, so what is this one for? Well, again, the easiest way to figure it out, I think it has to do with basically making older versions of Internet Explorer work okay. But let's see what it says here. So again, I'm going to come out here, and where I put in that before, I'm going to type in this. And it says, what does this mean? Well, there you go. It says, depending on what Microsoft browsers you support, you may not need to do this anymore. If you do need to support the older versions of Internet Explorer, like Internet Explorer 9 or Internet Explorer 8, it says I would recommend using this tag that we just put in. All right. It says it allows web authors to choose what version of Internet Explorer the page should be rendered as. IE11 made changes to these modes. According to Microsoft, when you use this tag, it should be as high as possible in your document head. And it says here are your options. So what it's saying is, hey, attempt to use that browser. And why that one? Because that's the newest Microsoft browser. So for lack of better words, what we put in here, many people would refer to that line in blue right there as a hack. We put something in there to try to make our lives easier. All right. So the next line that's in here has to do with what we'll talk about on the third or fourth day. And that is something that is referred to as responsive web design, sometimes called RWD. Why does that matter? With responsive website design, what you are attempting to do is to make whatever your website you're creating look good on any device. So that doesn't matter if you're using a phone or a tablet or a laptop or a desktop. And those are typically the ones that we'd be talking about. So what it says is name equal viewport. Viewport is what you're using to view the current website. We're telling it here we want it to use the entire width or as much as possible and scale it to 100%, which means we don't have to go in, and maybe you've done this with different apps with your phone that don't have this, where you have to pinch to make something bigger or smaller. So we don't want to have to do that. All right. Now I'm going to put in kind of what we had in here before. So that was an H1 that said my website. And then again, we put in that paragraph tag. And I'm again going to put in about lorem 40. Tab. And just as we did before. And you've already seen this, but if I come back out here and I go to my website, there it is. So that's what it looks like right now. Now, maybe you notice this. It's kind of a pain in the butt to have to be constantly switching back to this page. And guess what? You don't have to do that. So the first, I want to mention a couple things to you. The first one I've already mentioned, and that is there are shortcuts in here built into this editor. One of the best shortcuts or one of the best things that you can use is something called Emmet. All right, I already showed you Emmet when we created this using Emmet. All right. What you may or may not have noticed is when I created this paragraph tag, I could have just typed the letter P and hit the tab key, And see how it gives me beginning and ending paragraph tags? It's not that that's that cool or that great a thing, but it's a little bit of a shortcut. It can make your life a little bit easier. But one of the things that Visual Studio Code has in here as well is something that's called extensions. And we're going to go and add our first extension right now. If I go over here and I look, I got Explorer, Search, Source Control, Run and Debug, and lo and behold, the fifth one down says extensions. All right, so I'm going to click on that. And, you know, it's got in here for installed. Well, I think it remembered some stuff that I did before. But yours probably is going to be empty here. And I'd like you to type in live server. Again, I've already got it installed. But when you click on yours like this, instead of it saying display and uninstall, yours should probably say install. Just click the button. Let's uninstall it. All right, and it says reload required. That's fine. All right, now I'm going to come back and reinstall it. So again, I click here on extensions. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to type in live server. Hit enter, and there it is. I click install. That's literally all I had to do. All right, so that's literally all I have to do. So I can close this. So what did that buy me? Why do I even care? Well, first of all, I don't really need these to show anymore, so I can remove that just by dragging it over. But now, rather than me having to go out to the internet like this, every time I do this, I can now right mouse click in an empty area on my page and choose Open with Live Server. And lo and behold, there it is. And you might say, oh, notice I spelled that wrong, and that's good. Okay, because I'm going to fix it right now. But what I want to show you is now when I go back in here and I fix this, so I want this to say my website. All right, and I'm going to save. Now if I go back and I right mouse click and say again, Open with Live Server, it's been changed. I don't have to refresh anymore, which is kind of nice. All right. So far, we've come through here, and we've taken a look at a couple different things. We went through what the document type is, what the HTML beginning and ending tags are. We went through the head section and talked about the meta tags, what those mean, and there are more meta tags than that. We talked about what the title tag meant. Then we went into our body section. And in our body section, we added an H1 tag, and we added a paragraph. All right. Now, when we go on and we start building our actual real site that we're going to create, all right, we're going to put in a couple more tags other than the ones that are in there. I want to show you one more thing, and we're doing fine for time. And that is, I'm going to take this, I'm going to say my website H1 tag. All right, and I'm going to grab this, I'm going to highlight all of it. I'm going to do a Control C to copy, and then a Control V 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I've got 6 of these. And I'm going to change these. So the second one says H2. The third one will say H3. The fourth one will say H4. See where we're going here. The fifth one, H5. And the last one, H6. Why am I doing that? Because there's 6 levels of headings. There aren't any more. You can't do an H0 or an H7 or an H8. But I'm going to save this, and I'm going to right mouse click again and choose Open with Live Server again. And there's my different tags. You can see that the H1 is the biggest tag, the H6 is the smallest tag. So as the numbers go up, the size of the tag goes down. All right, can you change that? Yes, but that's something that we'll talk about tomorrow. All right, now the recommendation is typically you only have one H1 tag per page. This should be up near the top or at the top of the page, or real close to it, and it should be the main thing that the page is about. All right. So you saw all that, and you also saw, once we did that, we went in with live server. So let's just say that I wanted to put here, all I wanted in here was H1 tag, H2 tag. You'll notice when I do this, I think, is it a Control D? No, there's a shortcut in here. I don't remember what it is. But I can highlight all of them at once. I'm not an Emmet expert. Heck, I'm not an expert in much of anything. So this will just say H1 tag, H2 tag, H3 tag, H4 tag, H5 tag, and H6 tag. I'm going to save, right mouse click, and open it with live server again, and you can see how it's changed. All right. We're at 16 minutes. Let's do one more thing in here. Let's go back into our file. All right. And I'm going to just keep the H1 tag, but that's the only one I'm going to keep. I'm going to get rid of the rest of these. And I'm going to show you quickly how we can add a hyperlink. All right. And that is, now you sometimes see things that look like this. Click here to go to my website. Something like that, and the word here will be underlined. That's a bad way to do it. You should always let the user know exactly where they're going to. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to add another paragraph tag. So I'm going to type in the letter P, hit the tab key, hit enter. You can put all this on the same line, but I like to put it on different lines. And I'm going to say, go to the... And now I want this to be underlined. Rankin Technical College website. Let's just say I want everything inside of here. I want this to all be underlined. All right. So how do I do that? Well, I come in here and I say A, because this is what's called an anchor tag. href, hypertext reference. It's where do I want it to go? I want it to go to https://rankin.edu. And then I have to tell it what I want to have underlined in there. And that's all of this. And I'll put a period at the end. Okay, I'm going to save that. I'm going to right mouse click and choose Open with Live Server. And notice it says here, go to the Rankin Technical College website. I didn't put the period in there, so that one's not underlined. But if I click on this, boom, I go to Rankin Technical College's website. Now that's a good thing and a bad thing. It's a good thing because I just went to the Rankin Technical College website. It's a bad thing because if you did not notice, all right, look at the tab right here. It's changing my current tab. In other words, to a user who didn't know better, she or he might think that, wow, this is part of your website, and it's not. So what I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add, I'm going to come back into my file here, and I'm going to say this, target equals underscore blank, which means open that up into a new window. Right mouse click and choose Open with Live Server. Now watch and notice that right here, after this HTML thing, it's just got document. Okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to click on the site, and now I've got two tags. So it opened it up in a new tag, and that's what I wanted to have happen. So right now, what we have doesn't look like much. I understand that. I'm going to close this. This is what we have. All right. And what we're going to do in just a couple minutes is we're going to come in and we're going to add an image in here. All right. So I'll be back with that in just a couple moments.